welcome to our YouTube channel, our freshly started YouTube channel. I'm Tavion.
And I'm Kyra.
Yeah, and this is our kind of our intro to our YouTube channel. This is our first video, right?
Yep, this is our first video.
Yeah, so we thought that we started this YouTube channel because we have a family TikTok page, the Henrys. So check that out down there. But we thought that this would be, a better platform to kind of talk a little bit more about some of the things that, go on with our lives outside of those short TikTok videos. So we thought this would be a good kickoff to our family YouTube channel, and what better way than to talk about what the topic is going to be today. So
yep, something that's such a huge part of our life. So really excited to share this with you guys, and we could just get right into it.
Yeah, I guess we'll give a little background story on us, because from our TikTok, I don't know, everyone doesn't see our TikTok, so this is for people who may be searching what we're going to be talking about. Just give a little background history on who we are as people. So we're both from Lansing, Michigan. I don't know how much detail they really want to know, but I'm 23.
I'm 22.
And we got two kids, Kyron and London. Kyron's 2 years old, London's 8 months old.
We're married. We moved to Dallas, or like the DFW area recently. He graduated from Michigan State University, and I graduated from Western Michigan University. So now we're both graduated, like I said, living in a new state. And yep, okay, let's get into the topic, which you guys are all here for.
We made this video because we recently found out that our oldest son, Kyron, was diagnosed with autism. And this is something that we kind of had speculations of, starting around like 7 months old. But we, kind of went through some hurdles to get to the diagnosis, which we'll talk about throughout the video. But this is pretty much what it's going to be about. This is kind of tailored to those people who, may have someone who's diagnosed with autism or may have speculations that they are. And we kind of want to speak to our experience, especially for African Americans, because I feel like it's really a lack of representation for this amongst YouTube, because when, like we said, we started noticing things around like 7 months old. So I did a lot of research in YouTube videos, but I didn't see too many people that look like me talking about these kind of things, or really talking about it in general. So yeah, I thought this would be a good opportunity for us to kind of talk about this, and what better time than Autism Awareness Month, which started today. So yeah.
All right, so yeah, like he said, a lack of representation, definitely. Black families, young families. So yeah, it's exciting to be able to talk about, and I'm thankful to have a husband who's so involved in everything, because just having a real active father is so important.
God bless you.
And he, honestly, you're the one who noticed the signs first, because I have a younger brother who has autism, but honestly, so many, as a first-time parent, you think everything is normal. You don't, for me, I didn't assume the things that he was doing was not typical. So I feel like now we have TikTok, and there's tons of videos about younger kids or babies with autism, and they share their signs and symptoms or whatever. But for us, we went to YouTube, and it wasn't that clear. We were like, okay, this could be a normal baby thing, this could be a typical thing that he's supposed to be doing, or it could be autism, which is, not as typical behaviors, but they are very common behaviors. It's more so, I think, the intensity or the severity of the behavior that they do. For example, kids line up cars, but kids with autism are very serious and focused on lining up cars, or they get very frustrated if something just moves out of place a little bit. So that's kind of the difference of things with a typical toddler versus a toddler that may be on the spectrum.
Yeah, and the spectrum is a wide thing, so
doesn't look one way.
Right, and this is for people who may not, know what autism is, and it's kind of, learning about it. Like I said, I didn't know about autism before, but she has a younger brother who has Asperger's. It's autism, but Asperger's is a high functioning, and the terms kind of change around, as more knowledge comes out. But the spectrum is, on a scale from high functioning to low functioning. So, no person with autism has the same exact experience or delays or anything like that. So it's a wide variety of things that, that's why sometimes it's kind of hard to diagnose, because it's ever changing. So
yeah, so I know they don't use the term Asperger's anymore. It's even hard to use because I know some people don't like the term high functioning or low functioning, because you don't want to hear someone say my kid is low functioning, but it is a good way to be able to explain where we are at, and people who have received the official diagnosis, you kind of can understand what we're saying about different levels of autism. So okay, now we really can get into our actual experience with Kyron, and the things that we saw and the age it started and everything like that.
Yeah, so this was
19.
Was it
Well,
2019?
it might have been just
like
sorry,
in 2019,
2020.
beginning of 2020. And I noticed some things with Kyron that I didn't know if it was normal or not. And I don't like saying normal now, but just, you know,
Typical.
usually typical versus non-typical, I guess you could say. But it all started like, I want to say he was was the first sign in his high chair?
Yeah, so I feel like it might have been like even 4 or 5 months.
Yeah, but in his high chair, I noticed that he had a lot of stimming type behaviors, like he'll like, you know, spin his hands around or like keep these like.
And we can show video, so we're not like, I don't want to like mimic, you know, like
Yeah,
the
it's just things that you noticed that weren't, you know, what I noticed before with other kids. Just kind of like overstimulated with certain things. So like he'll be super fixated on the spoon or just kind of, you know, stimming a little bit. So basically that's some stuff that I noticed, and I started to look in further to what autism is and what are signs of it, how do you help with it, things like that. So we kind of just started our search, looking into it, not really knowing if that was the case, because like Kyra said, this is our first kid, so we didn't know what was normal, what's not normal. And it just kind of was something that we kept in the back of our heads and just kind of paid attention to. And I felt like as time kind of went on, more and more, we started to notice that, you know, he had some certain fixations like lining up cars or
spinning, especially.
Spinning toys. He loved spinning toys. He had a little suction spinner that he put on the window, and he could spin it for
all
like,
day.
All day. So
I think so. At first, like we said, as our first kid, we didn't know. We did bring the concerns to our doctor, and I do understand like why she might have been like not so sure that's autism, because you know you don't want to just rush and say that right away. But we did bring our concerns to her a few times at his different developmental appointments, and she kind of would brush it off or say, oh, because he looked me in the eyes, you know, he doesn't have autism. So I feel like for both of us, it was frustrating. I know that I still kind of talk about that, but I just say this to say that parents know best. A doctor who sees your kid once every 6 months or so doesn't really know what they do all the time. And like I said, I do understand from her point, because he was very young, but it was like, okay, if we're saying we see all of these different things, it was kind of frustrating. So we also knew from looking up research that early intervention is the best, and kind of just when you know officially, I feel like it helps more, because you know like, okay, this is why he does it the way he does, this is how he views the world and things like that. So that's why we really wanted to know officially. And then at first, I'm trying to think how old he was. I want to say he might have been 18 months when we started early on. So early on is pretty much like a, I don't know, I think it was like a free program that like your community offers. It might be called something different where you live, but it was like for a speech therapist, because at first we were like, you know, we told the doctor all the signs that we saw, and some of them were like he gets frustrated with things easily as he gets older, more intense and more frequent meltdowns. It was really hard to like redirect him in the things that he was doing. And she was like, you know, it could be that he has a speech delay, because, you know, when they have speech delays, then they just can't communicate what they want. So the meltdowns, they make sense, because, okay, he can't say what he wants, so he's going to scream or he's going to just freak out because he can't say it. So early on did help us a lot with, we taught him sign language and kind of just like beginning to give him words to use and better ways to communicate with us. So at first we were like, okay, maybe it could be a speech delay. And even she came in once for an in-person appointment, because this was during COVID. And at that appointment, it was at the end right before we moved, and she was like, well, it could also be, sensory processing disorder.
yeah.
So at that point, we were kind of like, okay, well, we don't know, because she said that Kyron did come look her in the eyes. He seemed like he was friendly. He was using words. He was doing sign language, a lot of comprehension skills. And so she was saying that typically at that age, kids with autism don't do those things. But like we said, it's a very wide spectrum. So you can't say that it's one way or the other. So we still were like, okay, I don't know, because there's a lot of things that we're seeing. And I kind of think that around the time that we stopped with early on, that's when we started seeing a lot more signs of like autism. We moved to a new state, like really fixated on lights and fans. There was just a lot more stimming behaviors that we began to notice.
And that's kind of one thing with autism too, is that they can go through different, well, this is what we've experienced since, you know, we've had speculations, is it seems like he goes through different waves of experiences. So like how he used to be super fixated on spinning toys, he doesn't really care about spinning toys anymore. certain things like she was saying, we first got to Texas, he wanted all the lights and all the fans on every room he walked into, but that's kind of faded away or comes here and there. So it's kind of like, you know, new things develop, other things fade off, and it's kind of like, you know, an ever-changing thing. And autism is just something that, you know, it's been around, but I feel like in the last 10 years is when it really started to pick up. More people are becoming aware of it, and I think
which is great.
The statistic says 1 in every 50 person has autism, so it's very, very common. And just kind of learning, I think that Autism Awareness Month brings a lot of light to what autism is, and kind of, you know, makes people more aware of these type of things, so it can bring light to the situation, and, you know, kind of make businesses and different outings be more accommodatable to people who have autism. So yeah.
To the speech therapist, we were like, okay, maybe it isn't autism, like we're willing to try out other things. We didn't want to just jump to that, like there's nothing wrong with having autism, but we were like, you know, he is still really young, like it could just be a speech delay, sensory processing disorder, whatever. So I remember it was close to the time that we moved, and we had went out to the zoo with well, my brother and sister-in-law, and pretty much, like, you know, they say that kids on the spectrum sometimes have a really hard time like going out with like large groups of people and things like that. And so this also was during COVID, so it was like the first time that we had been out since the cases were dropping. We took him to the zoo, and it was just like a not good experience. Like I think that was kind of like our point where it was like frustrating, like, okay, people aren't hearing our concerns, we really think that he has autism, and it's like starting to get hard to do things. And so I think that was kind of like our point where we were like, okay, like we're really seeing it now that we're trying to take him places and stuff like that. So like I said, once we moved officially, we're like, okay, now we can start fresh with our doctor. We can find a developmental doctor. So when we're here, we join like Facebook groups of toddlers with autism, DFW autism groups, and every single person said Dr. Rios for developmental diagnosis. So we went to the developmental doctor, and I think it was 4 appointments in total. And so it was really nice going to someone who specialized in autism. So it's like, we were pretty much like positive he had autism by this point because it's been so long. And
we did so much research, joint groups,
yeah,
like everything seemed like, you know, that's what it was. So
yeah, and like I said, his stimming like really developed more when we moved here, and like him getting older, being able to move around more, and he was starting to kind of do like arm things a little bit too. So like I said, we had 4 appointments in total with his developmental doctor. They did diagnose him with autism, which we figured.
So they did diagnose him with autism, which is what we kind of already had an idea of, and it just kind of gave us that confirmation of knowing what it was and where to go from here. And you also need an official diagnosis before you can do any ABA therapy, whatever next steps you want to do. So that's kind of what we're in the process of figuring out, you know, what route we want to take as far as, you know, helping him with this. But just getting that evaluation was the biggest hurdle for us. And I feel like we got the most closure knowing that. And, you know, during the evaluation, they talked about, you know, his strengths and his weaknesses. And they said, you know, that what reassured us and made us feel better, because it wasn't like this is the diagnosis and here what it was, but they kind of gave us some.
You're like stuck here at this point.
Yeah, they kind of gave some kudos as far as like, you know, some of his strengths, like he's really great at imitation and things like that. So they're saying that once he gets an ABA therapy, whatever we decide to do, that he's just going to explode with, you know, language and speech and just everything like that. So that's really good to hear. And yeah.
I'm about to bring London in. Well, London is here to join us. We tried to make the video while the kids were both taking a nap, but it's kind of hard to get them on the same schedule all the time. So she's gonna join us for the end of this video, but pretty much to wrap it up, I kind of just wanted to say that, you know, nothing is wrong with having autism, and that's not setting a barrier on your child. You know, like just ignoring signs that you see, she's so excited. Ignoring signs that you see is kind of only just setting, kind of like just setting a barrier on them. I've seen so many videos on TikTok of adults saying that, hi mamas, of adults saying that they have autism, and, you know, growing up they felt so different and they didn't understand why they did the things that they did, and that they wish that autism was more normalized like it is now. So I feel like that's more of the reason why we're sharing too. I think some people are like scared to hear a diagnosis or a label or anything like that, but it's nothing to be scared of. It really just helps you guys more to understand your child by knowing like what, if they have any type of like delay or autism, you know, anything like that. It really would just help your child, so it's nothing to be afraid of.
Yeah, I think that us starting this, well, we already have this is sort of our family page, but this is definitely going to be, a big part of, what we talk about, because I feel like representation and being a place of kind of accountability, I guess we can kind of keep ourselves accountable to make it a point to share our experiences, just because we know how much it can help other people. So, with the start of Autism Awareness Month, I think that this is going to be great for our family and just to help out everyone that we could possibly help out. So, we definitely want you guys to, drop comments about any questions you may have or any topics you want us to touch on. There's a lot of things that we're going to be talking about, but I think this is just a great opportunity to kind of let you guys know what the deal is with the Henry family. So
yeah. So yeah, I feel like that's really all that we had to say, but I do want to say that's something we really strive for on our social medias in general, TikTok, Instagram, YouTube, is like just how much representation matters, and not being like the influencer or content creator family that just strives for like a picture perfect, I'm trying to explain it, like a picture perfect.
Try to build a picture that's perfect, but not like,
yeah, like
more genuine.
Yeah, just genuine, because I have told some people that I'm really close with about Kyron having autism before we officially posted it, and they're like, oh, looking at him, you wouldn't think that. So as like influencers or whatever, we could have just continued to not tell anyone and kind of just not post about it or not talk about our real experiences. So I really just want our page to be like that genuine place to see that not all kids look one way, act one way, and no certain thing defines a good kid, quote unquote. Like, all kids are different, and that's just the main thing that we're trying to share.
This is you gonna tell them about that painting?
Oh, this is our special painting that Kyron did, and you can see it has his name. Oh, I can pull it down. Got my sweatpants on, guys. That's what people talk about on Zoom when you have sweatpants on your outfit. So this is a painting that Kyron did, and I know that people say for autism now they don't use the puzzle piece just for different reasons, so I was like, I'm staying out of that. So we did the infinity symbol, which is a new symbol for autism awareness, and he got really hands-on with this. I was kind of surprised because sometimes he doesn't like tons of paint on his hands or like tons of stuff on his hands, but he did great. We have we have some videos that also probably could be another YouTube video of him actually doing the painting. He literally right away grabbed the paintbrush, stood up on the stand, and started painting. So he definitely shocked me with this one, and this is gonna stay in our playroom, and London's gonna keep playing with it.
So yeah, we hope that we were able to shed some light on, autism in general, and kind of a great kickoff to what we deal with as far as autism, and kind of just use us as, a safe place. If you guys have any questions, or I just want to see, how our journey goes, things like that. This is where it's going to be at. So thank you guys for watching this video. Make sure you hit that subscribe button. It's a fresh channel, so we're going to bring a lot of content to this page, and I'm excited to see where it goes.
And that's all. Say bye, London.